Look, there you go. Yeah.
So,
And now we're ready.
So, all right. For those of you that are just joining us,
Which is everybody, because we didn't start it.
which is everybody. Hey, Ray, how you doing? We're glad you're paying good money for this event that we just started because.
Hey, Ray.
Here's the thing: is the other day, when I hit to start recording with Facebook or streaming in Facebook, it automatically started the Zoom meeting. It went from practice to actual being live. However, it did not do that this time. And so we're all the things we've been just talking about for the last couple minutes, we're going to have to talk over again. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything MSP Sean Lardo Show.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes.
And I'm watching all the chats come up. So thank you all for being patient. I mean, obviously, we're such a good program here, a good webinar that you all patiently waited for us to start this. And thank you, Heather K. Margolis, not to be confused with other Heather Margolises. Anyway, yes, Dan, thank you for having us.
Heather K. Margolis.
Heather K. Margolis. She already told me there's a K involved. You have to say it, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking about how we're all very tired from just getting back from San Antonio, Texas, from the channel company's exchange conference. And there was a lot of education, a little bit of partying, maybe a little bit more for some than others, especially those that forget to hit begin on a webinar. And my biggest takeaway, I just feel weird. I feel like this is staged now because my biggest, I'm gonna start talking about my biggest takeaway is my shirt.
The nicest shirt given out at the conference every time. Just it's a beautiful shirt. Yeah, it looks fantastic. But also, you did say you forgot the other piece, which is the cup. So I'm gonna. And then there's just so you know, Dan is sporting his really nice khaki shorts and no socks and shoes at all. He has given up on. So this actually lends itself to our conversation of working from anywhere and communicating from anywhere.
It does. Right.
It changes all the rules. But you do have to be somewhat professional, Dan. So you might want to introduce everybody and whatever,
Yeah. So, because we'll start with our guest, right? Because I feel like deja vu right now. Because, you're our guest, but really we're friends. And, it all comes down to our true guest here is Justin. And Justin is sporting his headset. And he also is sporting a bald head that it matches mine, but it also, which Sean hides his bald head because he feels like he doesn't need to show it. Oh, there we go.
I already established the fact that this is the bolder event of the day and the year, maybe.
That is awesome.
I think we should actually probably start to brand that like ASAP.
Yes.
Almost like the Three Stooges. I feel like, and I'm looking at the three images on top. It's like the Three Stooges or like, three, whatever. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I do realize it's Thursday, but it's, is it a Tech Bar Thursday? No.
Nope. I would.
So this is kind of like getting you your fix for Tech Bar. So, but let's get down to serious business here. We have a friend here, Justin, who is with Midshore Technology Services. And your company was founded in 2013 and originally under the name Smith Cyber out of Maryland.
Yep.
You have customers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Delaware, Virginia. You are multi-state, my friend.
Maryland's not that big. We have kind of a lot going on in a small area. So.
Gotcha. Well, we'll still give you credit for being a multi-state.
We're not a multi-state company. Actually, it's just I can get to all those places in like 40 minutes. No big deal. Sure. This isn't like Arkansas or something like that. Sorry for those of you in Arkansas.
Or Texas, right?
Yeah, we're Texas.
So you say you're a small shop, 5 employees strong, and 5 is a great number. You serve critical verticals. So you're focused on SMB. defense, finance, critical infrastructure, and you've been growing substantially in the last 3 years. And so you are also, I guess, to include forming of a second business called Black Root Labs. My speaking capabilities this morning are a little bit messed up, but this is actually not even morning, it's afternoon. So
we hadn't noticed. We hadn't noticed at all, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Black Root Labs specializes in critical control and manufacturing control system security, and the practice is outpaced much larger firms in the area. So, I mean, we welcome you, my friend. Welcome, Justin Smith. Everybody, round of applause. Yes.
Yeah. And
I didn't shave my head today like everybody else here.
well,
I'm slacking.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, Dan can't talk, you can't shave. It's a phenomenal, and we can't start the show off on time the right way. So, thanks. Seriously, Justin, for coming on. Dan, thanks for having us. Seriously, it was. Absolutely. I think it was and this is very timely for everything because you just stated the reason why I asked Justin even to come on is because he came on and we'll go through it, but he was able to diversify himself, and we talked about communications, and he's really doing and he already knew. I mean, everybody. You guys all know what Voip is. So I don't preach about Voip itself because you know what it means, but his ability to actually position it the way you should and grow the business effectively is actually why. And plus he has good hair, but aside from all that, that's the reason why I asked him to be on. And that multi-state piece is don't start it, dude. The multi-state piece and just being able to, again, get over lines and do things in different areas, I think is a big issue for a lot of MSPs is figuring out how to grow and expand in other territories.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. And we also have Sean Nardo, who's been speaking for a little while. Sean he's a bigwig.
That's a good play on words. That was a great play on words.
He's a bigwig at OIT Voip. I just got to say something about OIT Voip. You guys are, you know, a lot of times we use the word rock stars. Just we overuse that, right? You guys truly are rock stars. I mean, you guys have not only a solid product, a rock solid product, but you guys are real people. And, people, we always like to say, people buy for people, right? And, but you guys are just genuine, good people that really care about the MSP community. And have just done everything possible to deliver a product that MSPs can deliver to their clients that is going to be a win for them. And that is awesome. So I applaud you guys for that. You, Ray, you guys you rock it, and the entire team. And we can't forget about our little guy, Simon. So
that's awesome. That's
Simon,
awesome.
If you're out there, we love you, man. So
he's out here. He's watching. He already said he would watch. No, and thank you for that. So we do have some slides for a presentation. It'll help us keep on track somewhat to some degree. I know we have some pool questions we're going to go through, but if you want, I can start sharing now, and we can. And because I think
let's rock and roll.
One thing in particular. No, I think you did lovely so far. Because I mean, one thing in particular is, talking about why Justin's on here is, I mean, I already gave it a high level, but we've been preaching a lot recently, especially since COVID started and everything else about the remote workforce. And long before the remote workforce even existed, there already was one. Before it became a popular term, before hybrid became a popular term, this was already happening. For me, all my years, I've always been traveling for work and working from home and working from an office. So this was business as usual for me. But, when you talk to a lot of other people, and Dan, you saw it in your early ongoings when you started your group, people and I don't want to just make about VoIP. It was about working from anywhere. It was someone having that remote access to do everything and securities and phone and blah, blah, blah. Right. So, and we'll get into one story in particular with Justin, but it was a big deal for us to start to really push this in general, to discuss it, to educate these MSPs on the fact that there are systems out there like us that give the ability to do this. And communications is hands down 100% the most important thing you have to have to begin with, because nothing else happens without communications, no matter what you're doing. So of various types. So we wanted to really start talking about this and preaching it and pushing it. So we did. But somebody like Justin actually took advantage of it, and he promotes it really well with his customer base. So I do want to get Justin talking here. I do, but I do want to highlight the fact that the dude came in, signed as a channel partner with us, and he didn't shave in that picture either. You can see. He signed as a channel partner back in January here, right? 3-seat deal, 10-seat deal, 2-seat deal, 28-seat deal. He started to grow this, and as of just 2 weeks ago, he signed the agreement to go white label with us now too, because now it's at a position. Exactly. So, I mean, that's kudos to him, man, because he gets it. And you do the math, white label is much more profitable than channel. Again, though, if you're a partner that doesn't want to be actively engaged with a lot of the responsibilities, I totally get it. If you want to have a reliable partner like us to help you, we're here to help you with that on the channel side completely, but a lot of guys, if you think about it, if you're a really good MSP, typically you're the first call anyway for IT needs, phone being one of them. Hell, even if you didn't sell the phone service to them, they still call you. I don't know how many MSPs I've met over the last year that have to support a Verizon account that they didn't even sell and don't know anybody to, and they charge their customers for the wait time on hold. We
just signed a municipality this week because of a Comcast VoIP mishap. I mean, I'm not even shitting you. It was like they didn't even care about computers and the fact that their servers weren't being backed up. It was, hey, our phones aren't working, and here we are.
I mean, because that's that line of communication, right, to the clients, their prospects, and that's a critical thing. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I saw Justin complain about it on Discord.
Oh yeah, I love that you guys have that Discord. It's like my source of complaining for anything, not even just VoIP.
Right. So yeah, for those that don't know, we have a private Discord channel for all of our partners, and our staff is all on there too. So first off, it's a great quick way to get some access to us. You have questions, just one-off simple questions, but also our community is really strong and everybody helps each other. Yeah, there's conversations about all types of stuff in there. It's not just us. It's not you have to talk about VoIP. Matter of fact, we're all about you guys growing as a business. So you're gonna have questions about stuff that's not even related to us. And again, our community, you guys are all doing the same stuff a lot of times and can help. So, and Justin's like an active contributor there. But I think the important thing you got to understand is that we brought Justin because of what he's been able to accomplish in such a short time with us. And he's already working on stuff. So Justin, I would love to talk about how you grow your business. And these are all talk points he gave us, by the way. Nothing we did here was based off what we said for him to talk about. This is his exact verbatim. And you correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but this is actually things you said to us.
I think those are my actual bullet points.
They are.
From the email.
So exactly. So I like you to go into a little bit of how you grow your business. Again, these bullets are fantastic. So if you wouldn't mind talking about how you position yourself, the outreach you guys do. What do you guys do?
Gosh, I don't really know, to be honest with you. So you always yell at me when I say this, Sean, but we don't really have. We're a small shop. When Dan said 5 employees, it's 2 pseudo full-time and everybody else is part-time, right? Just to fill in the after hours and stuff like that. But I realized about 3 years ago, so we originally were in like the DC, Baltimore markets, and even 3 or 4 years ago, the MSP business was, I think that it was a lot different even just a couple of years ago than it is now. And we were really struggling to stand out in the noise. Luckily for me, I happen to be from the sticks and cornfields of the other side of Maryland. And I thought it would be a great idea to move over there because I couldn't imagine that there would be a lot of competition. And I was dead wrong. So it was exactly the opposite. In DC and Baltimore, there were tons of MSPs, lots of noise, lots of, walls to try, or firewalls to try to kick down. On the other side of the state, it's like there was like 2 or 3 MSPs that have been around for 25, 30 years. Everybody knew their name. Everybody was working with them. And the country mentality versus the city mentality is out here. Once they had a partner, it would take an actual act of God to get them to drop that customer or drop that MSP as their partner. So VoIP, and I didn't believe that this would happen. I kind of thought Sean was bullshitting me when we first started talking.
Actually, no, you didn't. You didn't think you actually told me that I was bullshitting when we first started talking.
I said that there was no way that this was. I thought in my head, we were previously selling like Ring Central through PAX 8, or trying to, I should say, but we did have several customers that we had pushed over onto Vonage about 3 or let's say 2 or 3 years ago. And I mean, all that stuff was working fine, but when we signed up with OIT, we were tech evaling 3 or 4 other VoIP companies, and I'm not BSing when I say this. The only reason that we went with OIT was one, because of Matt, who was our channel partner at the time. I could email him any time of the day and we would get a response. And then the fact that, if there was an issue, either we submitted a ticket or whatever, it's literally snap of a finger and somebody was helping us out, even as a channel partner. And we like to try to do it all ourselves. But back to the point, the VoIP service through OIT, we're literally kicking in doors where some of those other MSPs exist and they have for 15 years, but they just can't sell VoIP. The way that they're doing it, they can't sell it the way that the combination of us and OIT can. I mean, we can have an order done for a third of the price, hardware deployed, contract signed in, I don't know, a week. Would I be lying if I said that, Sean? A week or two, depending on the size of the customer?
I mean, no, because the multi-tenant capability, it makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't matter whether you have 2 seats or 200 seats. It's
Right.
it's almost virtually the same workload, as long as you do the right prep work up front to understand the lay of the land for them. But
Yep.
it's because everything's virtual. I mean, and again, that's back to even communicating from anywhere or having the ability to communicate. It's not just back in the day, it was you wait for a phone and then you got your line, and you got, with this being virtual and cloud hosted and you have soft phones and you have mobile apps and everything else, it's kind of a big deal. It makes it simple to implement and launch. And you're right. The longest wait you typically have was on the numbers being ported.
Yeah, the numbers. And even when the numbers are being ported, I mean, so as soon as you have that onboarding call with Marissa or whoever it ends up being, I mean, it's like the snap of a finger. The phone system is up within a couple hours. You're running on temporary DIDs. And I often reach out to my customers like, hey, phone's good. You can start using it. There might be a little delay in the voice while everything is getting ported over. But I mean, it's usually the same day that we have the onboarding call, we're off to the races.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool. I've really enjoyed working with OIT. And the on the flip side of that, the land and expand part, this is the most critical part for us, because we do have such the competition. These aren't small companies. One of them is actually national in our area. They started very centralized here, but they have offices in New York City, Nashville, and a couple of other places. So trying to beat down their door, I mean, we're tiny in comparison to them, but just within the local market, we've gotten into several of the larger accounting firms, which was our 28 seat client sign. And once we got in there, it was like, holy shit, your network cabinet is a mess. Why is there a server sitting on the floor in your conference room? We plug in all these phones. The existing MSP or IT guys shut them all off, and we had a bit of a headbutting match over that. But I know that in a couple of years, as long as I keep my cool and work my way through the process, even if I have to deal with a competitor, I'm going to be able to expand beyond VoIP at some point in time. Maybe because we're, for whatever reason, but that's how we're looking at this. Well, and VoIP is actually more profitable in some cases than selling MSP services. Don't tell Sean don't tell Ray I said that.
Ray's watching, and I think we all said we have this conversation regularly, and I'm so glad you said it too. We're going to quote you on that. This is being recorded, so we're probably going to take that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I want to throw one quick thing in here though. Because when you talk about being able to get this delivered in a short period of time and have it be flawless. And Sean, you mentioned it doesn't matter whether it's two seats or 200, but there's still a lot of work that goes behind it. And there's a lot of processes. And for everybody that knows, especially Ray is very process driven, extremely process driven. And no. So, I mean, that is the key. That is that make or break is, process, because that is what will set one vendor apart from another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And as long
we
as you
take full advantage of that too.
You do, Justin. You absolutely do take full advantage.
I'm lucky in the context that I just mentioned it earlier before we actually made this a live webinar, is that up before COVID, I was still working for a big global company. I won't say their name, but I worked for them. And obviously when you work for a company like that, you can't get anything done because of the red tape, but there's a purpose behind all of it. And I recruited several of our engineers and techs from that company. So, we're a small little MSP, but the process and, the points of how we do things is usually a lot different than how other MSPs do it. And that's what a lot of is what makes us successful in terms of how we can roll this out, very
Absolutely.
structured, orderly deployments of things. Not saying that other MSPs don't do that, but it is really, really important in anything that you do, including VoIP.
Nope, agreed. Also, I know, Dan, you have some poll questions too, right? That we would probably want to start putting in here.
Yeah, let's launch our very first poll question here. All right, should pop up on your screen now. Is it? Oh yeah, there we go.
So,
I can't vote. This is terrible.
No, you can't vote. You can say out loud. Are you a Nickelback fan, Justin?
Yes. Look like one.
Yes. Look,
yes.
Dan said you look like one.
They're going to be at the Blue Ridge Festival this weekend. I think I saw Nickelback was going to be there. If any of you are in Virginia.
So
we'll save this story for another time, but I seriously, I like Nickelback. I really feel embarrassed now to say it but really everybody who says they laugh about Nickelback, when I ask them, well, what don't you like about them? They're like, well, I don't know. Everybody just says not to like them. So that's awesome. Our results here, and we'll share these. We have some cool people in this.
Yeah,
group.
we do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this just proves that Nickelback they're not bad.
That's awesome. Okay.
Sean probably logged in with 4 other accounts to mark those all as they're all full.
Yes, I am all about Nickelback. Actually, I'm making a trip down to Virginia to see them. I'm driving all the way there for that. It's like our family vacation. Not at all. Anyway, moving on. So, okay. So coming back to the understanding the value of VoIP and doing your research, right? This is a big part of what you did. You went into this area. There was long-term people there that weren't losing business. You use it as a vessel to get in. So how did you start doing this? I mean, it's a big deal. And how did you research? Where did you research? What did you do to bring yourself into the forefront of this?
Well, I'm stuttering a little bit because I don't know if there's any of the other vendors that we work with on here, but we get a lot of shit as a company because we do tech evals on probably at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 different products every year. And the question is always, it's not necessarily for us what's going to be most profitable for us, but it's usually always what's going to be the best product for the customer. And if we get a difference in a few percentage value margin on the sales of that product, that's fine. But even the same thing with OIT, and it all stemmed. We got a couple of calls from a couple of different companies. We had been talking about VoIP a little bit, and they say, they come to us and say, well, we got a quote to install a new phone system. Do you guys do phone systems? And at the time, I was just kind of like, I didn't really want to do it. But when they told us, well, the other companies are quoting us like $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 to get a system in, honestly, it made my heart sink a little bit for that company because I knew it shouldn't be. Knowing the size of those businesses, that shouldn't be the case. So we did a little bit of research, linked up with Sean and Matt, and the next thing you know, I realized I could do this deployment. They're quoting $30,000 or $40,000. I could do it for, and I think the instance was like 12 grand. I could make about 12 to 13% on the phones itself, and that's just selling it outright. And then, we would get a little commission off of OIT, but the real focus and goal was white label. Right. That's where you're going to make really good, basically wholesale margins. But with OIT, the important thing is that if something breaks, we're the first line of defense. So depending on how we do it, we could charge them for support, the customers. We can make a little bit of money there, or we could just do it and then literally going back to the land and expand. If we do your VoIP phone system, we're probably going to identify a whole bunch of things that are wrong with the network. And if we can identify things wrong with the network, we can probably expand into your network and then to your servers and into your workstations. And it's really been a pretty cool journey. But VoIP, I won't let it become, well, maybe it will, I shouldn't say this, but I won't let it become the primary focus of our business, but it is right now the primary sales focus of our business. It's so much easier to sell VoIP than it is to sell someone an MSP contract that they don't understand what any of it is.
That's shocking. I've never said that before.
Right. Exactly.
Shocking. So, and actually, the multi-channel capabilities, you talk about text, voice, video, whatnot. I know, Dan, we actually have a pool question on this, is about, how many of you are selling Microsoft Teams or Microsoft 365 in general? Because that's a big deal. It's a big catalyst to this, and so I think you put the poll up just now as far as how many customers are using Office 365, because it lends itself to the video aspect, right? I mean, it's already done.
Yep. And with the Teams integration, the OIT's Teams integration, we've been pushing O365 really hard. Obviously, I think all of our customers but one sit on it, and some of our customers like the Snap mobile app. Others are like, well, we just want to use Teams. No problem. Let me turn that on for you. Pay $5 extra a license or whatever it is, and just take Teams with you wherever you go.
Which exactly. Well, yeah, and actually, that comes to one of our points that we were talking about when you were on the phone with me the other day, and you were at a chicken farm. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I know if that was like an actual physical chicken
literal
farm,
actual chicken farm.
or if you were like if that was code for like something else.
No,
but
no.
Now this isn't. You're not giving away a vertical that's maybe a diamond in the rough here. Are you? I mean, we don't want...
But I think it's a good story, because why were you at the chicken farm? Like who's it's not yours. I know that. So whose was it?
No. Right. Yes. Well, I mean, out here in this area, I think I saw somebody from like Australia or something like that on this call saying something about 250 kilometers between customers. It's kind of the same thing. When you look at Maryland, it's a tiny little state. Rhode Island is smaller, but the eastern and western sides of Maryland, it's two totally different markets, basically. So Western, what we call the Western Shore, DC, Baltimore, that's, lots of office buildings, lots of customers. Over here, it's a couple of potential customers per square mile, and they all also own a farm, right? So what it means for me is that oftentimes we will get a call to go rig Wi-Fi on a farm or some crazy crap like that. So the problem is that the customer needed to be on his chicken farm doing whatever he does to these chickens, and then also take calls for his HVAC business. I was like, well, yeah, you can do that, except for there's no cell service. There's only DSL, it's just riddled with problems, but we managed to actually do a pretty cool point-to-point Wi-Fi setup. And now they can use their OIT Voip system from a chicken house. It's actually pretty cool. I'm proud of it, but not my proudest moment walking around in a chicken house,
If you say so. No, I thought that was awesome though. Okay. So, and does he have a regular office also then? And he works from both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having the ability to have a phone system set up, I don't say phone system, having the ability to communicate from both using everything is important. All right, good.
That is something, we did not include that in the agenda, everybody. So this is a bonus tip. This is a pro tip for you.
Yes, it is. And it looks like from the poll, you have 50. I mean, there's 5 people with 50% of their customers, and you have 100% that's actually with four people with their customers are all using Office 365. So, I mean, if anybody didn't know, 365 and then Teams became the largest selling product in the history of Microsoft, I believe, at this point. So it's kind of a big deal. So it's a good way to leverage too. So moving on. So we talk about you actually said about elevate and accelerate your customers. We already kind of dipped into a little bit of this, but talk about the importance of selling business solutions, setting the right expectations. That's a key point of this, is setting expectations. What do you mean? What's that mean, Justin, to you at this point?
So I would say when we first started selling VoIP in general, not just OIT, but the difference between, let's say, like a Vonage and an OIT for us, and this was another one of the, Vonage is more expensive because it's essentially line itemed out in terms of features. If you want to do like groups or something like that, or call groups, that was an extra charge. Everything was an extra charge. The first time I talked to Matt, I was like, okay, I see your bundled extension is this, but what would it cost to do all of this? And he's like, well, there's 70 features in the bundled extension, but we really started to have, that caused us to have to do our homework, because 70 features is going to be overwhelming, not only for us, but for our customers. And we we had to do some analysis to figure out which of these 70 features are we actually going to talk to the customers about, and which of those are we just not even going to mention until there is a case that requires it. You know, and texting is a perfect example. You know, and sorry for this, Sean, but you know, even with OIT and as smooth as everything has been, we've also had our challenges. You know, when we rolled out to our last customer in July, one of their most important requirements was texting capability. And I had no bars hold in selling that to them. You know, you want texting, I can give you texting. But rolling out texting, you know, there are some issues within it. I think it actually took us, let's say 2 or 3 weeks. We got it rolled or working in rolling stages, right? There were some problems with the carrier routing the texting. There were some problems with the PBX. Then we had issues with porting all of the numbers. We still have 2 that we can't port, and that's a problem with Verizon and a story for a different day. But you know, there are going to be your fair share of challenges. You have to set the expectations with the customer. Like, don't sell them, you know, gold and then give them bronze, because they're gonna hate you for it.
Sure.
And we learned that the hard way early on was, okay, we need to set the expectation that we're going to do this, we're going to get it right, but it might take some time to work out all the kinks and the issues.
Absolutely. So you're saying it's important to understand the needs, talk about what they need.
Yep.
Lay the groundwork, and the expectation has to be around that, but also sizing up your customer too, to make sure
Yep.
they have the ability to expand, because size does matter, right?
Oh, I was afraid of this. I was really afraid of this. Afterwards, I was like, you know what? I am gonna go steal his camera or his phone and smash it.
It didn't matter. It had already been shared. It was already
And then I
viral.
thought, you know, this whole cloud thing that's supposed to be a fad, it probably is taken off, and my photo's already out there.
So this is our guy Simon with Dan at the conference this week. Simon is a little guy to begin with, and Dan, well, he's a little bit smaller.
You know, Simon probably feels like Shaq right now. I mean,
yeah.
But when you see a picture like this, it doesn't actually tell you how tall they are, right? It's just one guy shorter than the other.
Thank you. I'm 6'5".
There you go. I would never know.
I don't know why I had to take my shoes off. I think Simon should have only been the one to take his shoes off. So,
well, you made him take his shoes off because they were thick. You said he had a thick sole, and you were arguing that. So that's why we did that. To be fair,
moon boots on.
They're right there next to him. You can see it. I'm just saying, he didn't even know what moon boots were. So you can't keep using that to him because he has no clue. But we do have another pool coming up too, right? And this is in regards to Simon, right?
We do have a poll in regards to Simon.
Simon or Rami from Mr. Robot. Who can say? Which one? just in case you need reference points.
Wow, there is a shocking similarity there.
Right? There's other pictures too. I could have added so many pictures to really lend to this, but you know, we gave you guys percentages so you can actually take the time, because I know it's obviously not 100% in some case, but you know, at the show, 5 or 6 different MSPs came and said, holy heck, is he signing autographs? That's
yeah.
So we're gonna have a photo booth at the next conference, and we're gonna act like we're having pictures with Rami. So everybody loves Mr. Robot. Yeah. So
poor Simon. He's right now crying in his office, and
he probably won't even vote. Anyway, so you can probably share those, because obviously this is not the cat. This is not just for fun, obviously. I'd like to talk about the stack. You mentioned about being holistic, right? Do you want to share the results there? Well, before I go on.
Oh, I thought, didn't we see those? I had shared them and turned them off. So
yeah.
Okay,
cool. All right, we're done with it.
Yeah.
Now it's all business again. That's all me. So, all right. So, you know, you talk about being holistic, right, Justin? Pretty important. Every MSP is trying to. What you're looking at, this graph here, the percentages, everything around it is really about, actually, this was pulled from CompTIA's future MSP, basically, what the trends are and whatnot. I think we all know that we make up certain percentages and everything. So how do you make yourself be holistic? What's that mean to you, and how do you do it?
This is a touchy subject too, right? In other lines of business, if you try to do everything, you're going to do all of it, you know, mediocre and none of it really, really well.
Right.
And if you look at this breakdown right here, each one of these is, well, most of them, you could probably put them into buckets, but they're all very different skill sets. You can't expect your techs that are resetting passwords to also be able to do really good cybersecurity work and so on and so forth throughout this. But so we really try to leverage, like every MSP most likely does, technology that can enhance these capabilities and not always require, deep expertise in one area or another. I mean, we're small enough, we can't afford a full-time cyber guy or a full-time network guy. So we split those responsibilities between the engineers. But if you go to a customer's office and all you sell them is break fix or IT support, or if all you sell them, at least in our case, is VoIP, they're going to fall prey to one of these other areas, and then another MSP is going to step in and be able to expand their, just like we're doing at multiple prospects right now. So you really have to be careful about how you sell. In my opinion, you have to be careful about how you sell your stack, right? If you don't fully understand what Sentinel-1 does, for example, and how it is going to make or break you actually defending your customer from ransomware, or if you don't fully understand the risk versus reward in selling, texting as an add-on to VoIP, it's going to cause issues for you. So you just have to be laser focused in what you're selling and whatever your stack is, and then just go with it. I wing everything, but I really shouldn't wing everything. That's a problem. So just try to get good at it.
I really appreciate you said laser focused as I pulled up the green,
I had no idea.
Like,
was
no,
funny.
so this is us. I know you didn't. This is perfect about it. So yeah, so what you're saying is you have to be multi-dimensional in your approach, but you said something though about the products, right? I find that a lot of times we hear people talk about the product and features and not what the value add is instead.
Yeah.
Do you typically try to support whatever they have on premise?
No.
So when you walk in, so you make them sort of rip out and replace?
Yep. Sometimes that will cost us a sale.
Right.
But we, the municipality that we just took over, that we're currently taking over this week, I mean, it is a cluster of stuff, and I don't blame it on the incumbent MSP. I mean, they probably had a hard pressed sale with that customer. The customer says they don't have money. It's just not true. They do have money that they can spend on this stuff. And in my opinion, it's all about how you bundle it and you make it work for them. But I'm not going to show up. They have Cisco switches and Fortinet firewalls, and they've got an antivirus solution that they paid for 3 years for. And they asked me, well, what are we going to do with all these licenses? And I said, well, honestly, I'm going to pull them off of there. We're going to use the stuff that we're familiar with, that we know we can do well. And that's the end of the story. If that's not okay, you're going to have to find another service provider. Well, sometimes, I mean, most of the time that goes well, sometimes it doesn't.
You mentioned, they say that they can't afford it, and they don't know really. Right. I mean, they don't know what their IT budgets are. They, most SMBs, they don't have a clue, and so it comes down to it's our job as MSP to find that money, to look and figure out, hey, do you realize that you're spending X amount of dollars here, X amount of dollars there? That once we eliminate this, it will be automatically part of this other bundle, like you mentioned. And but if we don't help them through that process, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to be a dead end, a dead sale.
But I think I like that though. That's when you're setting your expectations.
Yeah. I actually got into a debate on the Everything MSP Facebook site within the last couple months about, as an MSP, are we saving our customers money, or are we making money? Right. And the question is, it's both, because if we're not finding the efficiencies for our customers and saving them money, then we're not doing part of our job, at least in my opinion. So
how do you show that, right? How do you show that you're doing this? And obviously I can bring it back to the VoIP aspect and say, hey, yeah, obviously having the ability to have soft phones and everything else, great, whatever. But the fact is, when you go into a customer and you're talking to them, I mean, the first thing you say, they're basing their decision with you on several different reasons. One is cost. We know. The second, that's usually not number one. It's only number one if you make it number one, I feel like. Number one typically is, are you credible, reliable? Will you be able to get the job? Can I trust you?
Yep.
Don't
ever sell your product on the cost. You know,
how do you get into that? Because in our world,
Yeah.
in Voip world, we had a lot of guys that this has changed since COVID happened, but they would compete against on-prem solutions that the customer spent their 30, 40 grand for the
Mhm.
box, and their monthly rate wasn't terribly bad anymore. And they felt they were invested, but that didn't work for them when it came time to work from everywhere. They weren't set up for that. So it was an easy catalyst for us, but that's not the norm.
No, no.
So how do you do it?
Well, you know, I have seen other MSPs, let's call it initial sales pitch before, where they'll break it down into like 3 buckets, you know, your bronze, silver, and gold, whatever. And then they'll show the price tag associated with their bundle, or that'll be a part of their initial sales. I don't mention the price of anything until after I know I've already sold the customer.
Mhm.
And part of that is, I mean, there's an expectation that this is going to be quote unquote expensive, right?
Right.
That goes without saying, especially if they have no budget. But what I really do a lot of time talking about is I try to, you know, and I learned this in the different sales world. I'm not a sales guy again, Sean, but you know, you have to find the budget. If you don't find the budget, you're not going to be able to sell what you need to sell. And as a salesperson, or as a, you know, owner of an MSP, there are ways that you can find what their budget is, you know. And what I do sometimes is I will actually work with them to come up with a list of all of the things that they're paying for, right? Their firewall licenses, endpoint protection, email, this, that, and the other. And I'll put it into a chart and I'll say, okay, per year, this is how much you're spending. If you
Yep.
go with a service provider solution, you're paying, you know, this much more than that, but you get all of this extra. Whereas if you hire an IT guy, and this is the common sales pitch right here, if you hire an IT guy, you're paying 50 grand just for a half trained, you know, half capable IT person who's going to be expected to do it all. And that only gets you so far, but really it's about finding the budget. It's always there. If we can sell to some of the customers we sell to out here in the cornfields and chicken houses of Maryland, I'm pretty confident that anybody can sell this stuff in the cities and wherever else you may be.
And when when you say find the budget, I think a lot of times when we're going through the sales process, I think there's this level of exhaustion. There's this level of like, oh, if I start digging into, hey, Mr. Client, can I get a copy of this invoice and this invoice and this invoice to be able to determine what their costs are and what they're spending. I think often, MSPs can get exhausted and say like, wow, this is just too much. I don't think I should be digging this deep, when that's what's needed to.
That is, yeah. You as a service provider acting as the CIO or whatever, even if you haven't made the sale yet, that's part of your job, right? You need to find the budget and act like that's your company. You're running the IT. Are you overpaying, underpaying? You know, where are the gaps? How can you fill them in? So on and so forth. So, you know, my recommendation for other MSPs is don't just sell a bundle of stuff that you turn on, give them a report every quarter at your QBR or whatever, but sell you and the expertise that you have and treat it like you're running that company. And how would you handle it there? There are some MSPs that would, you know, scream at me right now if they could, and it's not about saving the customer's money, but to me, it really is, and it works well for us. So that's or at least my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, because you're putting yourself in the client's shoes, and when you look for ways that they can cut costs, and even if the client thinks, well, geez, that seems kind of crazy what you're just doing right now, because it seems to go against you, and you might be losing sales or whatever the case may be. But it's about the long term, right? You want that customer to be there today, tomorrow, and the next day, right? And if you're just focused on the money and the profitability for yourself today, then that's only going to impact that client, and they're going to think that you're just taking them.
Yep. I mean, I would never, I'm not cynical enough to think that there are many MSPs out there who are just looking at protecting their own margin, but also when you free up budget from something that's unnecessary, you then get to spend it on other projects. Which, if you're doing the sales process right and you free up budget that they're spending on something else, you've now just freed up money that they can spend on VoIP or firewalls or whatever else needs to get replaced.
Right. You can shift those dollars.
I love how you threw VoIP in again. I'm glad you're doing this over and over. It's like subliminal shit. We have a few minutes left. I think we probably have some questions that we probably could field, right? I haven't really been looking because I've been paying attention to this.
Well, Keith is
Keith is Keith.
he doesn't have any questions.
No, he never.
No.
Shocking.
Ray, I want to just point out something that Ray mentioned about saving money. He indicated, my goal has always been to make sure that they're spending the right money on the right things. Almost every MSP client I ever took was spending money on stupid stuff. And like you said, it's not just about the VoIP aspect, and it's not just about, it's just whatever IT spend that they have. And in fact, it doesn't even have to be IT spend, because when we become, if we focus on the business of their business and not the business of their technology, we are having true executive to executive decisions, and it doesn't have to be just around IT. You can become their new best friend once you start having a business discussion with them, and you then elevate yourself to a level that they didn't expect, because they expect you're just some IT guy coming in there, right? I think there's that stereotype of this is just an IT guy trying to sell me IT stuff. But when you come in and you start having those business discussions, you become, this is a business person. I'm having a discussion with a business person.
Yep. We get calls all the time from customers, just not even about IT, just like you said, like, hey, can you come to this meeting and sit in on this and tell me if you guys think this other vendor is straight shooters, or whatever the case might be. So I definitely want to make sure I'm there if Sean ever shows up to my customers' offices.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. No, I agree. And actually, Keith did say something relatively smart, which is nice. It's a nice change of events. About, simply showing potential clients, the huge wins, your clients that are visible, again, that's a big part of it to establish credibility too. Talk about how they did it, how being more effective, how taking out the back end stuff, the stuff they shouldn't have to worry about, like, oh, my emails aren't working, oh, my phones aren't working, oh, my whatever. So they can actually focus on their daily tasks and actually grow their business. I think that's a big deal.
So if anybody has any questions out there, other than about Sean and Keith, that would be we got one question here. Oh gosh, it's from Keith. I was like, oh, there's a question. It's from Keith.
That's not. I'm reading it right now. He says, anyway, I question if there's any other good questions. I feel like Justin did a very good job of covering this. I don't know if we keep talking, it's going to get worse. I have a feeling.
There's an anonymous attendee. How did we get an anonymous attendee? Wait a minute. How did the anonymous attendee question be almost like Ray's question? The anonymous attendee is, which host can dunk a basketball?
Not me. I'm probably shorter than Dan.
Oh, no way. Are you really? No way.
Well, he told me he was 6'3" a minute ago, or 6'5", so I'm definitely shorter than that.
He's lying, dude. He's lying.
So this is where I'm really confused, because there's an anonymous attendee question at 154 that says, which host can dunk a basketball? Then there's a question from Ray at 154 that says, can any of our hosts dunk a basketball? So did Ray post this anonymous question and then forget he posted it, and then he posted it again as himself?
No, there's no way. Ray has a garage of a head. He remembers everything. So somebody probably saw it and copied and wanted to ask. Obviously, people really want to know the answer. So between the host, the three of us, apparently Justin definitely can't dunk, and Dan definitely, he is not spud web. So let's not go there.
We'll just leave it there.
I can dunk if you pull the net down to about eye level for me, but that's about
good.
it.
Right. So wait, we got a comment here. Who is it from? Oh, Keith.
Stop. Okay, we have
Why sell when you can add value? That is his question.
Okay, I agree. But isn't it? Oh, but you know what? This is Keith. He doesn't sell. He fights that. No, and I don't disagree with him. It's not about. I'm not in sales. I'm in solution providing. Realistically, relationship building and solution providing. Whatever that means, it means. And he argued it over and over and over again in regards to. Keith argued it, saying he's on sales. But the fact is, you are selling. You walk in the door with the intent to talk about business. to talk about there's going to be something going on regarding the name of a transaction of some sort or an expectation of a transaction. So it's okay it's not such a dirty word.
And it comes down to selling without selling, right?
Mhm.
Because if we come in there and we're just having serious discussion about their business and we identify where their strengths and weaknesses are and look for solutions for those weaknesses, and we're just talking through the process, we're not just saying, oh, I got a solution for this, I got a solution for that. We're just talking with them. We're just having a conversation. You can then start talking about different solutions that will, meet their, their goals and objectives. And you then are selling something without having to put on that sales hat, and it's going to close so much easier when you go down that route.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I also, Simon already reminded me, I have to talk about our upcoming events since we only have a few minutes left, and I should let everybody know that.
Let's go for it.
I'll even share my screen for that too, because he puts so much time into this stuff. They're pretty damn good. I can't argue anymore about it. Oh, not that. There you go. So, upcoming events. Oh, I didn't even share my screen. See, I'm so used to this. Ready? Can you see it now? We're good, right?
Here we go.
Upcoming events, technical deficits, 824. The top 5 cyber drain system sysadmin. CTF challenge was Kevin Tegalar. Anyway, please make sure you guys get involved with that. We do have another partner first webinar that we're doing coming up on Eureka process on the 25th and documentation. Holy heck. Wait, we just talked about all this, Justin. You should probably attend that documentation to support your whole business. We do also have on the 26th, so we're doing back to back. We have Rob Ray on with me just to discuss. I have no clue, I guess, how to sell Datto and how to grow your business, because Datto's done such a, realistically, if you're going to listen to somebody about growing a business, you probably should listen to Datto people. Rob has become a staple in this industry. Talk about relationship building and providing solutions. That's all this man has done for years. And Datto's done what it's done. I'm going to be at the Channel Pro SMB Forum in Boston on the 2nd of September. So if anybody wants to come up and join me, by all means. I think I have another pass. I'm more than happy to give a free pass to somebody if they want to come with me. You got to handle your own room and board though, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not paying for you to be there. Anyway, and then on the 9th, we're going to be doing the Tech Bar episode number 26, and we're bringing Rob Ray back for that.
Oh, nice.
He and I started training this past week in San Antonio for it. I think we're going to be good to go on that. We're going to find out. So yeah, please make sure you guys, if you're not on our YouTube channel, please get on it so you can see the updates that are coming out. YouTube is OIT Voip. Very simple. That's all I have.
That is awesome. I don't think we have any ending questions here, but
all I know is I just saw Ray in the chat. Damn, back to back. He's like, yeah, Ray, we yeah, we have to.
Yeah. Well, that just showing Ray how many hoops that you're jumping through. You're just, you like the energy.
I'll tell you what, it's a team effort for all of us. We all support each other. We all do really well. Yeah, so good to go. I'm happy with it.
Ray said he thinks he has the best comment. I'll wait for Dan to send the Lego Stormtrooper helmet. Oh, this one. That's what he's looking for.
That's awesome. Yeah, Dan's giving it away. He'll let you know.
I thought it was already put together. It was broken inside. So I was like, are you kidding me? They're like all in pieces inside of the box. I thought it was like going to be. So it's weird. All right, everybody. Well, as always, Sean, I want to thank you for your time, but especially Justin, because Justin, you are our true guest here, and you've shown us some and spoke to us about some very insightful ways to drive business, especially in the remote world. And let's face it, we might have a year under our belts, and we all say, well, wait a minute, we have way more than a year under our belts talking about living in a remote world or working from anywhere. But this last year has been different. It is completely different than what we have viewed remote work to be in the past, and it is not going away. This has just really opened the doors for companies to change their mindset. This whole last year has shattered the mold for how we operate and handle business. And it has put us in a position that when we work with our clients, things that might have been out of the ordinary to pitch to them, or for them to maybe, understand and comprehend and try to get buy-in from. We're in a position where right now they are accepting those things. So it comes down to one big thing right now is, we're kind of heading on the downside as far as companies sending people back home. Some of that might be paused. Some of it, might be just accelerated, where people are going to want to start working from home a little bit more, because it doesn't have anything to do with about necessarily COVID, but it comes down to the efficiencies and to be able to shift your time. And through time shifting, you can leverage these tools, and that's where we're at. So, Justin, once again, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here, even though you didn't shave your head completely. But the good news is Sean does have a hat on, so it kind of, there we go. So
Thank you very much.
yes. So everybody, thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Have a great week. Get out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks all.